It's like you sit there and wallow in this feeling that you don't want, but somehow like you kind of do want to stay in it.
You're alone again. I shouldn't be thinking of you, thinking of me. I know.
Hello, everyone. This is Mike from the Daily Bread podcast. Well, comic, but this is the podcast. It's about the comic. It's not really about the comic, it's just about me. I have like the comic is just kind of like a small snippet of things that I think, and then the podcast is kind of a transparent breakdown of what I'm thinking, where I try to just talk about what's going on in my head. And today I wanted to talk about a song I wrote. There's been a lot of podcasts I've been listening to lately, and they're breaking down albums. So this is like kind of weird because this is a song. Let me move my microphone. There we go. This is a song that I wrote in like 2007, and I was dating a girl at the time. I'm not sure if I talked about her in this podcast, but we had a really bad breakup, and years later we ended up seeing each other, which was funny because this is when I sold everything and I was traveling, and we ended up seeing each other for the first time since that breakup because I like basically like cut ties, and then we started talking again. It was like 8 years later, and we had met when I was in California, and it was like fine, and everything was pretty much like smoothed out. And it was funny because we sat down in Santa Monica at on the overlook. Santa Monica, like the beach and the neighborhood are separated by a cliff and the US 1. So it's not like if you live in Santa Monica in the neighborhoods, like you just walk up to the beach. That's where all like the really expensive houses are. I don't really know why I gave you all that information, but that's where we sat, and we just face to face had this conversation about what happened. And I was laughing the whole time, which is funny because when I talk about the song, I was not I was not laughing. And even she was just like, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, "Because it's so funny to me that I was so mad 7 or 8 years ago. It was like life altering where I couldn't eat and I was just constantly mad. And 8 years later, it was just like I just didn't it didn't affect. It was complete opposite. It was like a 180. And but when we broke up, I wrote this whole like EP, I guess, these acoustic songs about the breakup, and it was basically about this whole like journey that I was going through at the time, which is funny because the which I have mentioned this relationship, and the relationship never was a it was never good. Like we never were meant to be in a relationship. We just didn't mesh. And this these five songs, which I'm going over one of them, but it's funny to me that I took it so hard because it was almost like a blessing in disguise when we broke up. But I just, for some reason, now I can look at things, and when I'm mad about something, I see it as, oh, that's something that I haven't addressed from way back when that's making me upset. It's not the moment that's making me upset. It's like this, the reason I'm more upset is because something's being triggered. And I mean, sometimes I'm like, no, it's fucking this exact moment's why I'm so mad. And just kind of give myself a break from trying to think back to whenever the hell, when I was like 6 and something happened, and I'm like 40 years old and subconsciously thinking of that. But whatever, I'm getting off topic here, I think. So it's funny that I wrote these songs because I was so angry, and I don't know why I was so angry, but I really like the way that these songs came out. And the one song I want to talk about is called For Like Ever. And also, real quick, it is weird that I'm doing this because it seems that when people are going over these albums, like this podcast, where this exact location where I'm doing this doesn't make any sense. But I don't have an artist page for the band that I had created. It's called Arcade Academy, and I have like a Bandcamp page, which is arcadeacademyrock.bandcamp.com, and I have an Instagram, but I haven't really done anything with it because I haven't really been writing, and I haven't the last songs I wrote for this is when I got divorced, but I don't keep up on it. And I just thought that since this podcast is something that I have going live now, I don't want to start another fucking podcast just to talk about these albums. And then my punk podcast that I have, no one would want to hear me talk about this songs because no one's listening to that podcast for me to talk about me. They're listening to it because they want me to interview other bands. Again, that podcast is called This Was the Scene. It's about the late 90s, 2000 punk scene if you want to go check it out. But again, so I just decided to talk about this album here, and this album's or EP is it's 5 songs, and the name I'll go over the names and then I'll go over the song. But the first song is For Like Ever. The second song is I Need to Have a Talk with Doug Hopkins. The third one is I'd Rather Take a Bat to Your Face. The fourth one is Hey California, Jersey's Better Off, and the fifth one is Thanks Doctor to Paul. And all of those songs, what I was happy about this. I keep saying I want to say album, but I'll just fuck it. I'll just call it album. What I liked about this album is that I remember having music to these songs written for years, and I never had a reason to write any lyrics to it. And then I was living in Hoboken at the time, and she had moved back to California, and that's when I found out that, she had cheated on me. And so I just had moved in this apartment with my buddy Bob, and I had an acoustic guitar, and I had this box. Like the first two my first two longest relationships, I always kept like a shoe box. Actually, no, I think I did it with the first 3 major ones I had. Even the third one was my marriage, but I always kept like a shoe box of memories. And I had one for us, the girl I was dating. And I remember I was in my apartment and I walked out to, it was like a Saturday, and I walked out to the living room and my roommate Bob was out somewhere. And I brought my acoustic guitar out and I was like, okay, I'm just going to write, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to make something happen. And I had this box of pictures and I started writing the lyrics to the song. So For Like Ever, that whole, um, the title comes from a poster that she gave me for Valentine's Day that year. And it was kind of like, I think it was kind of alluding to like, using the word like. It's like forever, but it's like for like ever, like this relationship or love is that long, and it was like kind of a cute play on words. And I thought that this song that so I don't know if when I thought of the name of the song. I think usually it's the name of the song comes afterwards, but I think I wrote the song with that in mind, where it was based on the last gift that she gave me was this poster that was supposed to basically say like we're in this together, quote unquote forever. And that's where the name came from. And then the lyrics, so it's like today I took all your things. It's like today I took all your things, your notes and your photographs, lit them all, and basically said like today I took like the notes and the photographs that I have of us, which were in this box, which was in front of me, and I lit it up and watched the skies fill up in smoke, which I didn't do, but it was like a metaphor of what I wanted to do. And it was basically saying like, hey, like I took all our stuff and just like lit it on fire because like fuck you, and you just want, and one of the lyrics is like I thought you should know. And then it goes into I don't know if I want to like break down every lyric, but the whole thing was just kind of like me getting over the whole song represented me sitting there on this couch, and it was like in real time saying what I was doing. So I was writing like, okay, I'm thinking about us and I'm pissed and I'm doing this shit despite you, and I hope that my words and the things that I'm doing or I'm metaphorically speaking about doing hurt you really badly because that's how I feel right now. And so it's like, so I did that part of the lyric or that part of the verse, and then the other's like, and there you are, still look as fake as your facade. Basically, like she had been lying, so it was like, you're two-faced, and this is like how I see you. Um, and then it just kind of goes through. It's like, still looking at your facade. Reread your words, I filled your cards. It's hard to see where your heart stopped. It's like I was literally reading a card she wrote and thinking, like, how bullshit is this? And it's like, at what point during the relationship did you just suddenly shut off? Like, when did the light switch just flip? when, and it's kind of cool to just think about it. It's like you have this box of memories that just, it's all just bullshit. And it's this like facade of what you thought it was. Again, and the funny thing is that the relationship was crap, but we were trying to make something out of something that was never going to happen, which is why I was laughing 8 years later, kind of like, why was I so mad? But then it just goes in the chorus. It's like, we'll sit around and think about what happens now. We'll sit around and hope that things will be okay. That's kind of like a broad expression to, it was very specific to what I was doing right now. It's like, we'll just sit around and just be like, think about like, what do we do now? So we just sit and just like drink or just do stupid shit or just maybe not drink. I mean, that's what I usually do when I'm like bummed out or when I'm not bummed out. And you think about these things. So it's like, I thought that when I wrote that, I liked that line because I felt that people listening to it, anyone who went through a breakup could attach themselves to that moment. And it's funny, I was talking to there's a guy I've been working with lately. He was kind of like it was almost like a business coach thing, but we started talking about more life stuff. I think I might have mentioned this in the last episode or two. And he had said something to me last week. He said there's a sweetness to the sadness. He's like, there's something sweet about being sad that you want to feel it and you don't want to let go of it. And it's almost like that moment of, we'll sit around and think about what happens now, which is the lyric in the song and the chorus, and it pretty much encompasses that. Like, it's like you sit there and wallow in this feeling that you don't want, but somehow like you kind of do want to stay in it. It's like you want to feel sad and you're getting some kind of reward out of it. And to kind of build on that, I was playing around with that statement when he told me that, and I thought, like, I was trying to go through like things that are painful and what do you hold on to when it's that painful, right? So let's say that there was a hot pan where the handle was burning hot and you grabbed it on a stove. That is painful and you let go right away. But you don't, unless, I don't know, unless you like burning yourself, like you don't go back immediately and start holding it and like, or just kind of like hold it for a couple seconds and let go and feel that pain and hold for seconds and let go. It's like you're done. Like that is pain that you don't want to revisit. But in the statement where he said the sweetness and this, there's sweetness in the sadness, it's not the same pain. It's like you burned your hand, but you liked it, so you held on more. And again, that goes with like the lyrics of the chorus, like, we'll sit around and think about what happens now, and we'll sit around and hope that this will be okay. And that's all you do is you sit there. It's like, when is this gonna end, or is this gonna end? Am I gonna be fine? And then the song goes on, and I think one of the lyrics is like, "It's all my fault, is I hate that we love the same songs." It's basically saying like, I we as a couple, you listen to similar songs and they trigger memories that you shared together, so that those become your songs. And it's like one of those where if you're both out at a bar or somewhere and that song plays, like you both kind of like find each other and just smile across the room like, hey, this is our jam. And that lyric is just like, fuck, I hate that we share that bridge with music, especially the songs that I would listen to, because they were, underground, not popular radio songs, but they were songs that you'd have to go out of your way to find, and they're obscure. And it was like, shit, man, like we both have this connection to these obscure songs that not a lot of people know about, which makes it even worse because it's like that makes it even more special. It's like, fuck, now, we like the same songs. And then I guess I'm gonna go through the lyrics. It's like, you gave me up, you sold us out, you went and crushed the one you loved. So it was like, you gave me up, you sold us out. It was basically the sold out part was like you cheated. And then crush the one you love. That was kind of a strong statement because like we were saying that, but I don't think like we really truly did love each other. I think we just didn't know what we were, and that's I think even when I sang that line, I was like, I don't really believe this, but it was like that's what we were saying, so I guess I'll plug that in here. And then the chorus goes back and we'll sit around and think about what happens now. And then like I start kind of getting louder with it, like yelling it, and then and then we'll hope that will be okay. Then there's like this bridge, and then it comes back into that, and it goes through the chorus again, and then it like repeats itself, and it gets louder and louder, and then the end, it goes into hope you're not okay, and it like ends with this like I'm like screaming this line, like yelling at her, like I hope you're not okay. So the song starts off, it's very like chill and mellow, and it has a slow progression, and the chords I thought were pretty catchy. Like the song, the music itself is actually like pretty bright sounding. It's not like dark. It's actually kind of, it sounds like, yeah, I guess bright is like the key word or the best descriptive word. And then so it's like kind of mellow, like, hey, this is like what's going on, and then like it's like, all right, and we kind of dip back into this after the chorus, but then we get back into it, and I start getting a little bit more pissed off, and you can hear the volume go up, and then there's like a little break, and then it goes back at the end, and then it really builds up, and it ends with this like me screaming, like, I hope you're not okay. And I just thought I was so happy when that song was done because that was the first one I think I wrote of the 5 songs, and that's still one of my favorite songs. Like I really, it's hard to sing because it's really fucking high, but and I think I had tuned it a half step down, which is funny because I remember my first band, Lane Meyer, we when my first singer Chris, the main songwriter, because there was 2 of us singing, when he quit the band, we came to practice and we were gonna try to do a Weezer cover. We are gonna do My Name Is Jonas, and I was like, one of the guys in the band was like, "Oh, they tuned it a half step down. Let's do that." And once we did that, I was like, "Hey, let's try one of our songs," and I could sing it so well, and we're like, "Holy shit!" So from that moment on, anytime I wrote a song, I've always had a half step down, so I can play it regular, but I can hit the high notes, and that's what this song was. So I will put a link to the song uh, on the web page where this is. I'll put a link in my bio too if anyone wants to check it out. And then the other 5 songs will be on the same page. But maybe, yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe I'll talk about like all those songs. I mean, I think I've written almost 20 songs in my life. So I don't think every episode I'm gonna do for this podcast can be about that. But since I've made a commitment to record an episode every week, this gives me something to talk about, and it kind of opens up more about, I don't know. I want this to be fun. I mean, this isn't like I don't know what I wouldn't say the point of this is, but this is just like weekly babble. But I thought about doing this over the weekend, and I thought like that sounds like fucking fun, and it was. This was like 18 minutes of me talking about a song that I've always wanted to talk about, and I wish that the band actually would have gone somewhere. Well, I didn't really want it, like the band to really go somewhere, but it would make more sense if the band had gone somewhere, and someone was asking me to break these down. And but I think I'll, yeah, just kind of pepper these in and do these here and there. So I don't know if you like the idea, just message me on my Instagram. You can tell me like, I like that. That was fun. You should do more of those. And if you don't like it, then you shouldn't say that because I don't like any negativity. But also, I do have a Patreon that I started last year. If anyone wants to do that, it's just $1. So it's $1 just for just donating if you want to, because I have like my comic and I do that daily, and then I've got this, so it just helps, pay some bills. And for me, just creating the stuff, it's not really lucrative. So if you want to go to that, it's patreon.com/dailybread. Daily, so not your daily bread, just daily bread with BRED, because that domain was actually available. So if you want to do that, you can go. It's called the Coffee Lover. It's if you love the comic and want to support its continuation, chip in, but do not feel you can chip in but don't feel obligated. I love all the support I get. Uh, this will help with monthly fees and also help me spend more time creating my art in quotation marks. So if you want to do that, that's great. It's patreon.com/dailybread. And if you like this podcast, you can share it with someone who might get something out of this. If maybe what I'm saying helps them get through something, or maybe they want to just hear some random guy talk about weird shit that doesn't really have a a path or rhyme or reason why I'm fucking doing it. Okay, that's it. You should go do something nice for yourself.